good to be back in the sunny southeast. Despite the fact it's very cloudy. I spent 20 years in operations around Kilkenny, South Tipperary, Waterford and Wexford, and so it's nice to be back home, as I say, grown from Belfast. So my presentation is to focus on implementation and just to give you some of the key issues. Some of the slides will cover those 5 areas. Policy. Cormac, the Director for Policy and Strategy, is here, so I'm going to swiftly move on and not spend too much time on that. Apart from give a message that currently the Department of Children and Youth Affairs are proactively reviewing the 1991 Child Care Act. So I think that's a fantastic opportunity to try and put further shape around prevention, partnership and family support. To strengthen that within our legislation would allow us then to continue on the gallop of, refocusing our service delivery. So I think that's very, very important that we, and I think collectively and in a collaborative way, drawing DCYA with regards to our observations as practitioners on the front line with regards to what pieces of legislation should actually be embodied in that review and in new legislation. Great opportunity, not to be missed. Structures and people. I always say our business is primarily about people. It's about children, infants, young people, but also in the context of their family and within their community. Fred quite rightly highlighted the key issues with regards to values and underlying principles that really dictate our behaviour when we engage with children and families that come to our attention. So we all remember the National Service Delivery Framework. Those that don't remember it should go back and look at it, because great effort was placed on emphasising prevention, partnership and family support within that organisational structure that we call the Child and Family Agency TUSLA. So I think it's from day one, it's been put up there on an equal basis with regards to child protection, and all those in the practice would always recall everything was referred into the local area child protection service. Absolutely everything. And with the development of the prevention, partnership and family support, we've created an opportunity to get to families in need of support at a very early stage, as opposed to languishing on unallocated cases, so awaiting a social worker to make some form of assessment. Whereas in fact, creating an opportunity to speak and to be listened to with regards to their concerns as a parent about their child created huge pathways. And I see that firsthand in Waterford and Wexford, how that, and I'll talk about that interaction later on in the presentation, but how quickly we could shift from a child in need and not receiving the service, possibly not receiving actually an acknowledgement that they were referred into our system, to a point where a team around the child was readily available to engage with parents. And in Waterford, when the board visited, I had the privilege to meet a mum who actually went through a mental programme. And it was absolutely astounding to see the impact that that service created for that child and for that mum, and had additional spin-offs for the local school and other children in that community. So, I think we need to move to the point in our implementation too, is to grasp the clear evaluative evidence that is out there. Another great case I heard about was in Ballymun recently as well. So there are exceptionally good examples of why we should continue to invest heavily in the prevention, partnership and family support, and put teams around children in the community and in a family setting. So structures and people are important. Some numbers. We have created over 68 posts within the Prevention Partnership and Family Support. We're halfway there through an implementation plan. That's a good news story. It's our intention to land more professionals within the PPFS service. So that is a really good news story halfway through the programme, and I think it's a credit to Aisling and the regional implementation officers, the area managers, and everybody else involved in providing services to children and families within TUSLA and our strategic partners in the community and voluntary sector. Partnerships, relationships, people, these are all things that are dear to my heart. And we needed to create those significant partnerships to enhance our capacity to build on PPFS. One of the core issues and one of the challenges that was routinely expressed by lots of strategic partners was, oh, this is just a bit of a cog to land a load of referrals onto our desk and for TUSLA to walk away. And we heard that challenge at a very early stage, and we identified some for us that were essential to strengthen our partnerships with key statutory and non-statutory organisations. CIPSI, where the Children and Young People Service committees were operating, provided a fantastic platform to engage and to introduce the concept of the Prevention Partnership Family Support and the Medal Programme. The subgroups in those CIPSIs that were well established, the family support subgroups, welcomed that initiative and ran in parallel process the PPFS programme and allowed us to have a forum which would sort of allow us to engage with regards to the programme, to listen to the fears, anxieties and challenges, and there were plenty of them, and there are some still around in certain areas. It created true partnership to the point that people did actually believe, because when you have values and underlying principles, the core thing is behaviours. So when you can walk the talk as opposed to talk the talk, you get a lot of kudos and you strengthen your partnership approach. And that's what's actually happened in areas around the country where they use CIPSIs, but also when they went to develop their child and family support networks, they were amazed that when they were launching their network, in excess of 70 to 80 professionals across the statutory and community and voluntary sector actually took the time to turn up and to support that initiative, which I thought was a very good indication that areas were getting it right. So I think that's really important with regards to the area of partnership. As I said, we're only halfway there, so it's a matter of keeping that going. Process and practice. Again, this programme has seen a very high level of sophistication but professionalism in developing the toolkit, the practice model. What I hear from areas when I get out of Brunel now again is, the forms are still a bit too heavy-handed with that direct engagement when a professional is sitting down with a mum or a dad to hear their understanding of their child's needs, and that triangle around my child, they say, is an exceptionally good way of engaging for them as a parent, because they feel it creates the opportunity for them to express for the first time in their contact with professional organisations that I'm being facilitated to express what my assessment of my child's needs and family needs are. And I think that's really important. It makes a really good fit with the strategic direction the agency is going, particularly around science and safety. There's all those things are really sort of coming together. The other key issue was the development of standard operating procedures in-house in the Child and Family Agency. bitter experience taught many of us was that don't come up with a good idea and then not put any sort of structure or governance around that, because people run off into silos and cul-de-sacs and get away from an integrated approach. So one key aspect for myself when I was an area manager was to look at that relationship between child protection services and family support and the mental programme. And it became quite clear with the professionals around me was that we needed to have a governance structure and a set of standards that were operational and sort of created good space for good dialogue with regards to referrals, and that has worked exceptionally well. And I know that other areas at the same time were working up those aspects. So everyone came together and we agreed one national standard to that, a consistent practice, which is really important. But it's really important too, the message I would give to everyone in the room is, this is not just about taking kids or ensuring kids get a quick response at the low welfare side. This model can be used with regards to alternative care. And we've heard our CEO talk about, if we want to grow prevention, partnership, and family support, we really need to look at what we're doing on the other side of the house with regards to alternative care, for example. So there are new programs being worked up, quite an exciting time with regards to coming to different forums to present some very clear ideas about, let's not have a first intervention to a young person who's for the first time been referred to our agency, that intervention is residential care, which in most cases now is the young person is placed at least 100 miles from their family, their community, their school, their youth and sports activities. For them to, when they arrive, to be very angry, possibly act out and verbally or physically assault staff or other young people in the centre, to take the car that is to bring them to the sporting activities, to drive home before Garda Síochána can get back to their own community. So these are the sort of challenges and the nuances and the exciting times ahead for us. And that should be seen, and I know some areas have used PPFS and MEDAL as a step down from residential care. So the young person going home, the team around the child is there to facilitate that and to support that young person in the community, and that is a very good example. So just my message is, just don't think about it as low welfare type stuff, because it is applicable to other areas. And another good example was that hidden harm work with the HSE and the addiction services as well. So some key messages after that particular one was that as an agency and sort of thinking about this slide, children's rights, every other organisation or some sort of dedicated agencies in Ireland are there only speaking about children's rights. And I think we really need the upper game in relation to saying, hey, as an agency, children's rights is central to what we do. Our participation strategy, was previously mentioned, is a fine example of how we can, as an agency, strengthen our position as strong advocates for children, because I know each social care worker, each social worker, each family support worker, each area manager, principal, team leader, and their strategic partners are all about children's rights. And I just don't think we package that very well. Public awareness with regards to child family agency, again, it's an area that we're working on, and our CEO has taken a very strong lead in that, and that's been covered. Standardised readiness checklist. That was actually a questionnaire out to every area manager to see whether they actually getting on with the implementation plan. So, in other words, do we have coordinators in post? Are they all being paid and have terms and conditions commensurate to the decision? An ongoing problem that I am ongoing tackling in Brunel, and we have agreement with that, and it was signed off some months back with regards to, it's a grade 7, that's where the post fits, and there was very good reason for that. So that's been worked out. But more importantly, well, and that's not to diminish the role of the coordinator, or coordinators, and I'll go around and spot quite a few in the room, so I know we'll be rigorously filling out the form in relation to that issue. But it is also about the networks and being connected with SIPCs as well, and also looking at the standard operating procedures that should be in place that helps good working relationships when we see quite a flow of children referred to our agency, particularly on the welfare spectrum. It was also to give some indication of how we can expand this programme out to other areas where children are at home, but on the CPNS register and so forth. So there was good feedback taken in mid-June, and I'd say that feedback is actually out of date now. That you know, I'm quite amazed when I look at stuff and engage with areas. The pace of change and the pace of implementation is actually quite exciting. So we'll be coming back to have another look at that early in 2017. So learning so far, the lead practitioner role has been one that we address through training, and there's a significant amount of training undertaken, 2-day training programs undertaken, and the take-up was exceptionally good. And that was another forum that those challenges, fears and anxieties were expressed, and that we could offer a reasonable response to say this is not about us passing on a referral and walking away. This is a team around the child approach, that we will always be involved. We will always be involved at the Child and Family Support Network, at the SIPC, but also you can come in and speak to us in respect to that. So that's one key learning for us. The more local child and family support networks really do help interagency interaction and engagement. That single point of entry is really important because in my previous experiences I would find that children would have been referred 5 points of entry, 3 points of sort of uptake and looking at and assessing, whereas with our National Service Delivery Framework is clearly telling us that, and telling our communities, this is how, where and when you should refer to us. But do pick up the phone and have a conversation with us if you're unsure about making that referral. And I think that's worked exceptionally well throughout the country. We need to promote the mental model with families, balance with an incremental build. The more intensive mental programme with regards to children that are sort of high welfare on the cusp of child protection services is vitally important. I would love to see us up our game and have more of those very in-depth mental programmes running. But equally important, we're not capturing, or we are now in a place that we are capturing a lot of work that you guys do in respect of prevention, partnership and family support, which is actually essential. And again, gives us good value information to build on. So regional summary of child and family support networks, there's 17 planned networks, there's 13 established. What's working well and what is challenging? Good engagement from agencies, schools, Gardaí, there's some gaps. The public health nursing and the health service executive is a really good example. Although I'm informed that that is not always the case in certain areas, that public health nurses on the ground are happy to be involved in the PPFS and the family support networks and be involved in them. We do see a reduction in the duplication of services, so there's a more planned and integrated approach to providing support to children, young people and their families. There's a very positive view of mental, and the interagency approach leads to greater clarity of roles and services. So leading to improved outcomes for children and families, we use the readiness checklist with the areas to assist us in developing key plans and performance indicators going forward. So that's my getting a nod here from the front, so I'll finish up. Thank you.
Okay, folks, thank you very much, Jim. Now take a minute, everybody, get your workbooks out and do your key messages and what remains unanswered. Among the things that I picked up from that presentation is the opportunity that's there for all of us now in the review of the Child Care Act 1991. And I think it's good to remind ourselves that when that act was put together, we just had the UN Convention had just developed. It was developed in 1989, but it hadn't yet hit us in Ireland. So real opportunity here to get children's rights actually into that act. Challenges of partnership. Question for me is, what are we doing to mitigate against the challenges of partnership, particularly when people are not engaged? Consistent practice. Jim posed the question, is it agreed and implemented? And tell us the progress is varied depending on where we are. So a good overview then, and I'm glad to see the pens out and the writing getting done.